Hey guys, Trinity C here, coming at you with another video. Today I wanted to take a look at more of the Kanto Pokédex and who could potentially get a Mega Evolution in Pokémon Legends Z-A. This is part 2 in that series of videos. I'll leave a card above to part 1 if you haven't checked it out yet. But we left off last time in the Pokédex with Clefable. And Clefable is a Pokemon that I honestly don't see getting a Mega Evolution in Pokémon Legends Z-A. I just feel like it's a Pokemon that honestly doesn't really necessarily make sense in my mind to receive a Mega, although Game Freak could pull a fast one on us and decide to give Clefable a Mega, but in my book, I would say Clefable is not going to receive a Mega Evolution in this game, which next up in the Pokédex for Kanto is an interesting one, and this is Ninetales. Now, Ninetales, the reason I say it's an interesting one is because I do think Ninetales is one of the more likely Pokemon to get a Mega Evolution in this new game, Pokemon Legends Z-A, but the interesting part about Ninetales is that it has an Alolan form and its regular Kantonian form that obviously is from Generation 1. Which brings up the topic of how will Game Freak handle Pokemon that also have a regional variant and get a Mega Evolution. The only instance of this right now that we have with the current 48 Mega Evolutions that are available is with Slowbro. Slowbro has a Mega Evolution but also has a Galarian form. So how will Game Freak handle this going forward? And my idea for Mega Ninetales that I think would be really cool is I have 3 different designs here that I will show you. The first one we'll take a look at is this design for Mega Ninetales, the Kantonian form from NYJEE9 on Instagram. And in this design, you can see that there's a bigger emphasis on Ninetales' tails, and I think this is something we'll definitely see in the actual design for Mega Ninetales, since Ninetales is based off of the Ninetales fox, so it makes sense logically that we'd see its tails get a bigger emphasis played on them in any Mega Evolution design, and I really like this design here by NYJEE9 on Instagram. But then there's the flip side of this, which is what if we get a Mega Evolution for Alolan Ninetales as well, and we can see this design here, which is by Eric Silver CDS on Pinterest, and you can see again Alolan Ninetales gets a more majestic design with an emphasis on its tail, which I think this would be a great counterpart to see with the Mega Ninetales that we just showed off prior. I would love to see there be a fire and an ice Mega Ninetales in this game, because I think it'd be really cool to see not only does Ninetales have separate paths depending on which region it is in the Alola region it happens to take on the ice type, and in all other regions that we know of, or most of the other regions, it takes on the fire type. But how cool would it be to see that the Ninetales takes on a different Mega Evolution depending on which version of Ninetales you give it to? I think that'd be something really cool to see in any Mega Evolution for Ninetales in Pokemon Legends Z-A. And my last idea that I came across online when searching for designs is this design here by As the Moon Waxes on DeviantArt. And what if we get some sort of fusion for Ninetales between its Alolan and regular forms in its Mega Evolution design? Now, this is something that I don't think Game Freak would do, but I absolutely love this conceptually, how it's literally a split down the middle, where half of the Ninetales is fire, half of the Ninetales is ice. I would love to see something like this in Pokemon Legends Z-A, but like I said before, I don't think this is something Game Freak would do. If anything, they'll most likely just give Mega Ninetales to the Kantonian form, but I would love to see them do an Alolan Mega Ninetales and a regular Kantonian Mega Ninetales as well, so they could be counterparts in this game. I think that'd be something really cool to see. Next up in the Pokédex is Wigglytuff, and I personally don't think Wigglytuff will get a Mega Evolution in this game. I just feel like it's one of those Pokemon Game Freak will pass on. Next up is Vileplume though, and Vileplume I'm a bit torn on. I could see Game Freak giving it a Mega Evolution, but I could also see them passing on it as well. If I had to guess, I'd say yes, Game Freak will give it a Mega. As for any potential designs, I've looked online for Mega Vileplume and I really haven't been able to find much of anything, so we're not going to have a design to break down for this one. But next up in the Pokédex is Parasect, Venomoth, and Dugtrio. I do not think any of those 3 Pokemon I just mentioned will get a Mega Evolution in this game. I think that it is possible that at some point down the line we see Parasect or maybe even Dugtrio get a regular cross-gen evolution. I think that would be something cool to see, but as for Megas, I don't think any of those 3 will get it. Next up is Persian, which Persian is an interesting one because I feel like Persian is definitely a Pokemon that I could see get a Mega Evolution, but I don't think it would happen in this game. I think a Mega Persian would be saved for either another Kanto revisit, or if they do a Johto revisit in 2026 like I've been speculating before in other videos. I'll leave a card above to that if you haven't seen that one. The reason I say this though is because I feel like Persian would get a Mega Evolution because it is is Giovanni's signature Pokemon, if you will. Just like with Maxie and Archie in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, their signature Pokemon being Camerupt and Sharpedo respectively both receive Mega Evolutions, so I feel like if we ever did a Kanto or Johto revisit and Giovanni played a role in those games and those games happened to have Mega Evolutions, I feel like that's the time at which Game Freak would decide to introduce a Mega Persian. Next up on the Pokedex list for Kanto is Golduck, and Golduck is another one of those Pokemon that I really don't think is going to get a Mega Evolution, but on the flip side, I think Golduck could get a cross-gen evolution. To me, Golduck always has kind of felt like a mid-stage evolution. I could see them leaving it alone entirely, but I also could see them at some point down the line introducing a regional evolution or a cross-gen evolution for Golduck. The next Pokemon is Arcanine, and I feel like Arcanine is one of the more likely Pokemon to get a Mega Evolution in this game. Arcanine has always been a fan favorite, and whether it be when they were doing regional variants or Mega Evolution, it's always been a Pokemon that people have been expecting Game Freak to put the spotlight on. Obviously, it got a Hisuian form in Pokemon Legends Z-A, but do you guys remember, real quick side note, do you remember when Sun and Moon were coming out, or Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon, one of those two games? There were heavy rumors out there that Arcanine would be getting in a Alolan form that would be a water type. Arcanine's always been a Pokemon that the fans have been speculating on getting a Mega, getting a regional variant, or whatever the case may be, so I feel like Mega Arcanine is something that is more likely to be done at some point down the line, whether it be in this game or not, who knows. But nevertheless, here's a design of Mega Arcanine by Pokéluca on Deviant Art, and as you can see here, Arcanine kind of gets some samurai-like armor on its design with the different metal tails, if you will, coming out of its chin and on top of its eyebrows, or as its eyebrows I should say, as well as having a collar with a bell on it. I really do like this design a lot, and I think one part of this design that Game Freak would definitely incorporate in its Mega Evolution design, if Arcanine does indeed get a Mega, is the flames coming out of Arcanine's body. I feel like that's a part of its design that I think Game Freak would probably put into a Mega Arcanine, where we see its flames kind of bursting out of its body. I hope that's something we see at least, but I really do like this design here from Pokéluca. And the last Pokemon we'll take a look at today from the Kanto Pokedex is Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a Pokemon that I honestly could see get a Mega Evolution in this game. The reason I say that is because Poliwrath just seems like a forgotten Pokemon. I know that Poliwhirl has a split evolution with Poliwrath and Politoed, but if we're being honest here, neither of them are that powerful. I know Politoed is used in the VGC every so often from different competitive builds and whatnot, but Poliwrath seems like the forgotten of the two, which is why I think a Mega Poliwrath would be something that we would hopefully see in the future, just to put Poliwrath in the spotlight once again. This design here is also done by Pokéluca on Deviant Art, and I really do like this conceptually because it kind of becomes like a luchador, if you will, having a mask, or maybe a wrestler as well, having a mask on it, as well as what looks to be gloves with little boxing fists, and you see it gets kind of like a half green leg, half green arms, a green blue design to make it look more like a traditional green frog. I like this design a lot. I don't know if this is something that Game Freak would necessarily do, but I think it's a fun take on a Mega Poliwrath, and I really do hope that Poliwrath does get a Mega Evolution, because like I said before, it's one of those more forgotten Pokemon, and I would like to see it get into the spotlight once again and get viable from a competitive standpoint, because Politoed seems to be pretty viable, but Poliwrath not so much. Anyways, that's it for today's video. This is part 2 of our series taking a look at Kanto Pokemon and who might and might not get a Mega Evolution. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all the Pokemon that we went over in today's video. Do you agree with my takes on who might or might not get a Mega Evolution? I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about the Ninetales situation. Will we get a Mega for Ninetales, just the Kantonian form, or also Ninetales the Alolan form, or maybe even that fusion design that we saw before? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from Trainer DC. Keep your eyes out for part 3, where we'll go over the rest of the Kanto Pokedex, and until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.